Hey there, welcome to day 329 of our Let's Grow annual challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, and we are on tip and tool number 24 of our No Nonsense November. And today's topic is one, again, like all the others, I believe, this month, are ones that I learned the hard way. I learned by not setting boundaries the importance of understanding personal boundaries and then setting personal boundaries, as well as, and personal boundaries for me are each and every one of us have to set our own boundaries. If we don't, other people will push and take as much as they possibly can or expect as much as they possibly can, as long as you're willing to give it, right? And if there's no boundary in place, if there's no expectation shared, then they will just continue to do it and do it and do it and push and push and push until it gets up against your I can't take it anymore. So our tool today is the boundary setting workbook. There's a book. It's available at Walmart for $10.77 is the online price, and you can get it. You can pick it. You can't pick it up. You can get it sent to your house for $10.77 by, I think, Wednesday. So that's just a couple of days away. But in order to get started on this and to do our action item today, we want to look at what's involved in the workbook. All you do, and there's a lot of things involved in it, but to get started, you can just ask yourself a couple of questions. Number one, identify the problems and list the situations that you find yourself in where that cause you discomfort or resentment. If something is causing you discomfort or resentment, is it because, and it usually is because, there isn't a boundary set for that particular situation? For example, I'll give a business example because these are clear and not quite as personal or emotionally loaded for most of us. You are working in a job you like your job, but your boss keeps piling on more and more and more responsibility without any, I guess, shared agreement or expectation. They just keep giving you more and more and more and more work to do. You're working longer and longer hours that you're not, again, being compensated for, and you don't feel like it's being appreciated. If it was being appreciated, you might be okay with it, but it's not appreciated. It's not leading you to the career path that you want, etc. And you find that you're starting to resent it. You want to be home with the kids or your significant other or out to dinner or doing anything besides working 16 hours a day, but only getting paid for 8. Ever been there? Anyone? So you would define the problem as, my boss keeps piling work on me without my permission or my agreement and expecting me to have it all done in impossible deadlines. And so that's the problem that's causing me discomfort. How can I define the boundary with my boss, knowing that clarifying it and being clear about what I expect and what I will and will not do and can and cannot do, what is humanly possible, right? Is advantageous to both of us. Number one, it helps me keep my sanity and my stress level down. Number two, and anxiety. Number two, it helps me actually accomplish the tasks that need to be attacked in a priority order. Maybe it's just in order for me to take on different roles, I need to know where they prioritize in the other tasks that I've already been assigned, something like that. So the emotional impact of setting boundaries, which we don't realize until we actually step back and realize what our boundaries are and set them and clearly communicate them to other people, are our own peace of mind and our own mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual health. I a long time ago, not a long, well, it's a long time ago now, was terrible at boundary setting. Probably still not terrific at it because I always want to do whatever I can do to help people out. But it is a gift to ourselves. It's a form of self-care, and taking care of ourselves is knowing what our boundaries are and setting them. Everybody and everything has boundaries, and it's almost like our limits, but I think we need to set our boundary before our limit, right? Our limit is the point at which I can't take it anymore. So if we set our boundary at our limit, then we're always stressed out, anxious, feeling like we're behind the 8 ball and not ever going to catch up. So Taylor's story is in Guide 2 of the Let's Grow Annual Challenge private Facebook group page, and she works through the workbook and has some lessons that she learned from it. One, boundaries are a measure of our self-worth, right? If you're not willing to set boundaries, it's not about anybody else or anything else or anybody else doing anything outside of you. It's about your unwillingness to say, hey, I matter. I believe in myself enough and am worth enough to let people know what isn't okay with me. It also shows us that clarity is kindness, being clear and sharing expectations with people. And I learned this in my businesses as well as in my personal life, is a gift not only to yourself, but to them as well, because people know how you're going to respond and what they can expect from you. And there's so much uncertainty in the world. If there's something that's certain, it makes everybody feel more comfortable. And finally, we can have flexibility within our limits. Don't say, this is my, or within our boundaries. Again, I like to differentiate between boundaries and limits. I don't think we have flexibility in our limits. Our limit is, this is my line in the sand. I'm not going to go past it, limit. Our boundaries are a little bit more flexible in that we can be flexible with them, but we're not going to go past them to the point where they hit up against our limits. At least that's how I visualize it in my mind. So today we're going to answer 2 questions, or just one. Think of one thing that triggers you or that is causing a problem or is a problem for you that makes you feel uncomfortable, resentful, or upset about something. And then write down some situations where that happens. What does it take to push you over the limit? I'll share one. For me, it's when I'm hanging out with 2 of my granddaughters and their dogs. One of the dogs is a trigger for me. She pushes me and pushes me and pushes me in her behavior. And at some point I'm like, all right, I've reached my limit. That's enough. I don't know how to set boundaries with the dog. I think I've started putting her in the kennel and things like that. And trying to just take a deep breath every time she barks and wants something, because it's, 40 times, 50 times a day. And with other things going on, it can be annoying. So that's a personal example. And how will I deal with that? I'll define a boundary and I'll figure out some ways to create a boundary with her. And she's not even a person, she's a dog, right? And really, is the boundary about her doing anything differently? Or is it about me responding and reacting to the stimulus that I get from the puppy dog? Interesting way of looking at it. So we're going to do that today. We're going to identify some situations and then create a boundary that makes us feel better, right? People, I'm going to get into this. All right. So that's all I've got today. Any questions? Hit me up. Again, this is a hard one for many of us to do, but it's only because we're not giving ourselves enough value and respecting ourselves and what works for us and honoring that enough. It's the only reason we don't set boundaries. All right. If I can help you anyway, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.